Today we're making Osso Buco. Osso Buco is a northern Italian dish that consists of cross-cut either veal or beef shanks that are braised with vegetables, wine, and stock for a few hours until nice and tender. Now, since Osso Buco is cooked with the bone attached, you're gonna get some of that nice bone marrow as well. We're gonna serve this with some garlic Parmesan mashed potatoes, and that beef's gonna be melting your mouth tender. Without further ado, let's get to cooking. If you never had Osso Buco before, you're really missing out. The meat is melting your mouth tender, and it's similar to braised short ribs. When you go to the grocery store, you're looking for cross-cut shank bones, which are the shin of the animal. You want your butcher to cut them about 2 inches thick, and make sure they have a nice amount of meat on them. You're also going to get some bone marrow, which is extremely healthy for you. Since the shanks cook for a few hours to get tender, they have a tendency to fall apart. So what I like to do is tie them up with a little bit of butcher twine to prevent that from happening. Next, we're going to generously season the shanks with a little bit of salt and black pepper. Then we're going to place them in the fridge to stay cool while we prep the rest of our ingredients. As I mentioned before, Osso Buco is cooked with a bunch of vegetables, stock, and wine, so we're going to get our mise en place ready to go before we start cooking. First, we're going to slice up about 3 ribs of celery, 3 to 4 medium-sized carrots. We're going to peel and roughly dice 1 sweet onion, and then peel and roughly chop about 5 cloves of garlic. Now we're going to move on to searing the beef shanks. We're going to pull them out of the fridge about 20 minutes before we sear, and we're going to optionally dredge them in flour. You don't have to dredge in flour. This will just help get a nice sear on the meat, and it'll also help to thicken up the juices later on. Now in a large cast iron pan or braising vessel on high heat, add a little bit of a high smoke point oil and your beef or veal shanks. Sear on all sides for a few minutes until nice and golden brown, then remove from the pan. Next, you're going to reduce the heat to medium, then add a touch more oil and the diced onions. Season with a little salt and continue to cook until they're caramelized slightly before you add the rest of your ingredients. Now we're going to add the sliced celery and carrots, and once they start to saute for a few minutes, add the garlic. Saute until fragrant for 1 minute, then we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Let the tomato paste caramelize or bloom on the bottom of the pan before you mix it into the vegetables. This is going to give you the best flavor out of your tomato paste. Next, we're going to add 1 cup of a dry red wine, such as a Cabernet, and bring to a simmer. We're going to add some fresh thyme, rosemary, and a few bay leaves before adding about 4 cups of chicken stock. I like to use chicken stock over beef stock. To me, it has more flavor, but if you want to use beef stock, go ahead and use it. Lastly, we're going to season with salt and pepper, give it a final mix, and bring it to a simmer. Now, if the pan you used is big enough to hold your beef shanks and is oven safe, go ahead and add the seared beef shanks right on top and place it in the oven. Since these beef shanks were huge, I had to use a separate braising vessel. So I'm going to add the shanks at the bottom, pour all the vegetables on top, then add a little more stock so that the liquid is halfway up the Osso Buco. Then we're going to seal it nice and tight with foil, place the lid on it, and braise it in the oven set to 325 degrees Fahrenheit for around 3 hours. While the Osso Buco continues to cook, we're going to work on making some garlic Parmesan mashed potatoes that will serve alongside of our Osso Buco. Now, I've said this before, I prefer russet potatoes over Yukon Golds for mashed potatoes, so we're going to peel up some russet potatoes, and then we're going to peel about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. Cut the potatoes into 1-inch pieces, and then we're going to place them in a large pot filled with water and season the water with a little salt. Then place the garlic cloves right in the water, and they'll soften up as the potatoes cook. Now, right before we drain the potatoes, we're going to grate up about a half a cup to 1 cup of Parmesan cheese, depending on how cheesy you want it, and then we're going to cut up a little bit of parsley. Now once the potatoes are cooked, drain them and place them back in the pot along with a half a stick of butter and a little bit of milk. Mash up the potatoes nice and smooth, then add your Parmesan cheese. Finish with a little parsley, give it a taste, and adjust the salt and pepper to your liking, and that's your garlic Parmesan mashed potatoes. So it's been about 3 hours and our Osso Buco is done. And as you can see, even though we tied it up with butcher twine, it's so tender it's fall off the bone. Now what I like to do is strain all the au jus through a double mesh strainer to get some nice silky gravy. Then you can place the pot on the stove and bring it to a simmer, and then thicken with a cornstarch slurry until it coats the back of a spoon. Now it's time to serve it up. We're going to add some garlic Parmesan mashed potatoes to the bottom of the plate, followed by 1 of our beef shanks, a marrow bone, and a generous amount of our gravy. Then we're going to garnish with a little bit of chopped parsley, and there you have it. Beautiful Osso Buco with garlic Parmesan mashed potatoes. Enjoy. There you have it, we made Osso Buco. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to see me cook next. If you enjoyed this video or you learned something, give me a like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.